This interview was recorded a few hours before the Apalachee School shooting in Georgia on September 4. It is unfortunate that we have to have a discussion about this. And this is a a very timely episode. Thank you for listening. I'm J. Rosemarie.
In this battle of life, it's hard to keep your head above the water. So win this fight.
My guest today is Daniel Dluzneski. Thanks for coming talking to us today, Daniel. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
For sure. So before we get into what you do, could you tell us who is Daniel?
Let's see. Well, we could go back. I worked for the Secret Service for 24 years in Washington, D.C. I was fortunate enough to stay in the city for that entire time. And I went through the process of being in the specialized units. I was in the K-9 unit. I was in public affairs. I worked at the White House and the vice president's residence and our headquarters branch. And I retired there as a lieutenant. And when I retired, I moved down here to Florida. And being an alpha personality, I couldn't sit still for too long. So my local county had an opening for someone in safety and security with the school system. So it fit my resume, and I joined them in Pinellas County, not realizing that, I'm thinking Florida is just where people retire, but no, it was a very dense county with a lot of students. I had 100,000 students in 140 schools that I was in charge of, and it was just me. So it was kind of, throwing my feet to the fire. So I stayed there for 4 years and got a lot done. It was a strange kind of thing where the safety and security for the school system was just starting to build up because of these horrible, school shootings. So we wanted to make sure, and I was able to work with a very good group of people, that we started from the outside and layered approach to security for our schools, but we also wanted to make it a welcoming atmosphere. So it was that dynamic of not wanting to make the schools and turn them into prisons, but making sure that the staff and students were protected and were safe. So when parents dropped them off, they felt that they were safe inside the school.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a really good thing to be doing, especially when you're a solo mom. I remember when I was at work and I would get a call from one of my sons. I mean, I was living in New York City, and I can begin to explain what feeling that invokes in me when I get a call from my son during the day of school. So I imagine in this day and age where, we've had some very unfortunate incidents in school, that solo moms, and I emphasize solo mom not just because that's what the show is about, but also because it's one person. They're not two people worrying about the kids. It's just one person at that time. How can you help solo moms understand what you and the school system and other entities do to ensure your kids' safety in school?
But probably the most important thing, and that's why I'm glad you were able to get me on this show, that when I first started this, some of the podcasts and some of the conferences, I was talking to peers and other teachers and administrators, and I would try to ask them how they run their drills. And they would tell me, well, Dan, you have a lot of good ideas, but I'm getting orders from above. My superintendent would tell me we have to do this, or the school board says we have to do this. So I said, okay, that's fine. I'll talk to the parents. And nowadays, it's not like years ago when I was a child. Parents would go to work, drop your kids off. You're good. We'll see you later. No big worry. It's so different now. They would ask how your school day was.
Yeah.
Now it's like, wait a minute, the school told me you ran a drill. What's going on? So I ask parents to talk to your children. I don't care if they're elementary school, all the way through high school. Just ask them. And I have a teenage son. I mean, he's in college now, but when I started this, he was in middle school and high school. And I know it's tough because they're on their phones, they're running upstairs to do video games, they're doing this and that, they're isolated. But sit them down and just very, basically ask them, how does the school run emergency drills? How are they doing it? What happens? We want to understand what happens during a fire drill. That's pretty
Mm-hmm.
easy. Doing that for hundreds of years. What happens in
Right.
fire drills? Well, what happens any other emergencies? Let's say an active shooter. Let's say there's a weapon in school. Let's say there's something else going on, some other kind of emergency, and just find out how the school are running these drills. If you hear something like, okay, we're going to lock down. Perfect. That's exactly what I'd benefit from. I'm old school. The doors are locked. You pull the blinds down, lights are out, kids sit on the floor away from the windows, silence your phones. You don't open the door, you don't listen to any announcements. The good guys are coming. And that's what I advocate and have been advocating. There are
Mm-hmm.
some school systems that will say, no, if we know where the active individual is, we're going to run out of the classroom. And I completely disagree. Why are you
Mm-hmm.
running out of a perfectly safe classroom? Where are you going? And you're not the only classroom that's leaving. All
Right.
the classrooms are going to be leaving. So it's this massive pileup. I mean, it's easy to see if you look at Parkland, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas here in Florida. You can look at Sandy Hook. You can look at ones in Idaho, Nashville, where these incidents happen and the things that have gone wrong. And
Yeah.
there's no reason for you to run out of a classroom when there's an active event going on because you're dealing with children. And the
Mm-hmm.
other thing is, not only should you stay in the classroom, the other side of this is there are companies out there that market having your children throw things at a gunman, throwing things, pencils, iPads, books. What are you doing? What do you mean you're throwing things? I'm not going to have a child throw something at a person with a weapon. But that's crazy. That's insane. But there is teachings out there where they're having children do that. So if you hear your child say, "Oh yeah, we did this training where we had a person that pretended they were holding a gun and we threw things at them," immediately a red flag should go up and your stomach should start churning, going, "Whoa, wait, they're having you do what?" There's no way a child, I don't care if they're high school or it doesn't matter, should be throwing something at a person with a weapon. That should not be happening. If they're training children to do that, I would immediately contact the school. And if they don't want to listen, that's when you go in front of the school board. Now, I understand you only get 3 minutes. Talk to the school board. If they don't want to listen, then you start calling your state representatives and say, look, this is wrong. I'm not having my child do this. I mean, yeah, you can threaten to pull your child out, but what for if you've gotten them in a very good school? So ask your children what's going on. How are they running the drills? Are they staying in the classroom? Are they running out? Are they throwing things at a person? So just find out how they're running the drills. And if you feel that something's wrong here, go in front of them and complain that no, this is not right. They shouldn't be doing that.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that, because at first when I was asking the question, I really was thinking of big events like active shooters and, because that's what's been in the headline. But
Yes.
there are also other considerations like the ongoing fire drills and
Mm-hmm.
other things that school administrators or safety officers like yourself would think about and have on your schedule to do on a regular basis. What are
Yes.
some of those other things? I really do want to get back to the shooting incidences, but I want to focus on what are some of the things that you as a safety person consider for a school year to keep the awareness going in students' mind.
Well, the biggest thing for me, Jen, is the training, and it's human
Okay.
training. A lot of schools, what they'll tell you is, "Oh, we're going to put in metal detectors, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody will be safe. We're good to go. We got metal. We got a grant. Put in metal detectors." That's nothing but they call it's just security theater. It looks
Right.
good. It's not
Yeah.
doing anything. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just spending a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of personnel that you have to train on these metal detectors, and it takes forever for the kids to go through. It makes no sense. So watch out for technology if they say, "Oh, we're going to spend money on this," or okay. it's good to have cameras. I agree. Have cameras at the parking lots, have cameras that look out of your entrance. You don't need a camera at the entrance per se. But what we want is layered security. Most of your fencing should be 6 foot. Once they get past that, they go to a lobby area. And during the school day, there should be only one entrance into the school. That's it. During the school day, just one entrance. I understand arrival and dismissal is a lot different. You're going to have these different entrances. That's something different. But during the school day, one entrance. When they come in, they come into a lobby area where they need to be checked in. If that visitor is checked in and fine, they're either buzzed in, keyed in, or swiped in to get into the school. Fine. If they're not allowed in, they got one way out. They go back to the way they came.
Right.
So we try to prevent with what's called a layered security. Once they're through that lobby area, the classroom doors should be locked during school time. You get a lot of pushback from teachers saying, oh my gosh, no, the kids get up, go to the bathroom, and they got to go here. I got to lock the door. Unlock. Tough. Keep the door locked during school time. You're already one step ahead if you have to go into a lockdown.
Right.
So it's just layered security. And the reason for that is if there is someone who comes in that's going to cause harm, it slows them down and give the police more time to respond. The other thing, again, most important, special resource officers. Down here in Florida, we were fortunate enough the legislature passed enough money so every school has a school resource officer, an armed school resource officer in every school. So I would advocate for that because they are there as an advocate for your children, for the staff, and for the parents. That's what they're there for. They're not there to arrest anyone. They're not there to harass children. They are there to protect them, and they're very well trained. We have a lot here in Florida, and I advocate that more than anything else, that these people volunteer for this. They do it because they love what they do and they love children, and they're there to protect them. So that is another layer in the security because if something happens, they're the first ones that are going to go.
Right.
And then the group are going to come behind them. So it's layered security. It's doing your drills properly. I'd suggest every quarter. I'd like to do it a little more often because it gets in your mind, what you need to do. But it's not all about technology. It's the human factor that does all this stuff. And it's the humans that make mistakes. Don't depend on technology that something's going to save you.
Right.
Getting away from just the active shooters, what's happening more recently in schools is just kids showing up with weapons, whether it's knives or guns. That's more prevalent than just an active shooter. An active shooter incident, it's one in a million. I mean, it's probably never going to happen at the school that you're at, but just be prepared for it. That's all.
Right.
Be prepared for it. It's nothing to be concerned about as long as you have the confidence to know what to do. But a lot of times with these schools, it's the weapons that show up. And then what do you do then? I have a lot of people that panic that, oh my gosh, he's got a weapon. Well, I don't know why that child has a weapon. Maybe they're scared.
Right.
Maybe they're suicidal. Maybe they're being bullied. Maybe they just wanted to show their friends, oh, look, I found this gun, or my dad has a gun I wanted to show you. You don't know.
Right.
And there's no reason to just go into a full-time panic. However, you want to protect the school. So yes, you will go into a lockdown and you will hopefully have someone that will talk this child down, to say you don't need to use that. It doesn't necessarily mean that child's going to shoot everybody in the classroom. They may be just something going on mentally or in their lives that they felt that, hey, I need to have this weapon. So you have to find out. So the other thing that's recent, this has just been in the past 4 or 5 years, is what's called a threat assessment team. And you're going to get together with a team of teachers, principals, administrators, hopefully some kind of mental health counselor, a nurse or other practitioner to be on a committee to have files on children that are troubled kids. So you have to find out what's going on. And yes, they're not, these kids about snitching on each other. These kids, it's their school. They have to see, hey, if Johnny over here is having trouble or Susan over here is having trouble, you have to say something.
Yes.
Even if it says to your parents, what's going on. Because in today's day and age, with all the digital and social media stuff, it's just overwhelming. When we were kids, there was no internet. And you get bullied at school, well, you went home, you're okay.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's 24/7. It's
Yeah.
constant. The social media, it's constant. So these children can't get away from the bullying. So when that happens, it's just, they don't know where to go. They don't know who to turn to. They have it, and not that they don't trust their parents, but it's almost embarrassing that they don't want to say anything to their parents. So we have to encourage them. Look, there has to be a mentor, someone at school that you trust as a teacher, a counselor, someone you could say, hey, I'm having trouble, or I know this person over here is having trouble. The mental health aspect of all of this has exploded over the past 4 or 5 years, especially with the
Mhm.
pandemic and especially with all the other stuff that's been going on. So I encourage parents, if you see something different in your child, first ask them about the drills. Secondly, ask them if there's anything else going on. Now they're going to say no. Everybody's been a teenager. The teenage years are the worst. I mean,
Yeah.
for parents especially, but they have to have someone they can turn to. So that's the main thing I wanted to get across.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I get that. I understand that. But I also don't like the fact that it seems to me that the school administration has moved away from partnership with the parent. I
Hmm.
don't know if I'm wrong about that, but that is what I sense. And the parent should have a say in what's going on because they know their child,
Yes,
and you need to encourage children to talk to their parents, and parents need to encourage their children to talk to them, because I think if a lot of times that troubled guy or a girl talk to the parent and the parent's responsible enough, then the parent could go to the administration, a teacher or someone, and say something, right?
yes,
Before the crisis happens.
yes. No, I agree. No, I agree. We've seen, videos of these school board meetings where parents are trying to express, what's going on and what they're concerned about, the way things are being taught, and they're basically shut down.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's the kind of thing like schools kind of what we call circle the wagons, and they just protect themselves from whatever is going on, and they don't partner with parents.
Right.
I know a lot of times when my child was going to school, we were not allowed to email the teacher. The teacher would say, "No, no, no, your child should email me if he's got any issues." Like, wait a minute, I got something going.
Hmm.
So it was this dynamic. Yeah, I understand they want the children to be independent, to be in charge of their own class and classrooms and whatever classes they were taking. But there were times that the parents like, no, no, I have to find out what's going on. So
Right.
this idea, and again, that's where you go in front of the school board. I know you only get 3 minutes at most of these school board meetings, but if you don't get any response from the teacher or the principal, you have to go in front of the school board because, and again, instead of going alone, as you've seen, if you get a group of parents together, it's a lot more powerful to have more than one or five or
Yes.
10 that have the same issues. And if there's issues with safety at the school, that again raises red flags, parents have a lot of power. They do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that. And unfortunately, we lack that power because we accept the status quo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, until something happens. Usually, as
Yeah.
you know, Jim, when something happens, that's when the red flags are. Oh, wait a minute. They had a
Hmm.
school shooting at this, school in the next county or the next town or whatever.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, they're like, "Uh-oh, wait, what happened?" And then it's at the top of your headlines. It's the top of the news, and it's at the
Right.
top of your head. And then you're asking your children, "Do you know what happened?" Oh my gosh, blah blah blah. So
Yes.
it should be all the time. It's not because you got stuff going on. You got work to do. You got all these other things
Yes.
going on. You're trying to make a living and you don't want to worry about that stuff. You don't.
Yeah.
No one wants to worry about that stuff, but it's not something you should have to worry about. It's something that the school should come to the parents and say, "This is how we're running operations.
Yeah.
This is how we're doing our drills." In fact, when they run a drill, they're supposed to tell the parents, "Hey, as of this date at this time, we're going to run a drill for X." And they should be telling the parents that because there are a lot of times these children, and I get all this pushback about these kids are scared about these different drills and all this. No, come on. I went through the nuclear war and the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, come on. These children are not scared of this stuff. To them, it's just something to get over with. I mean,
All right.
it's not something that they're fearful of, but it's just something you have to be aware of and just have the confidence that, look, the school's going to take care of you. But if you've got something where, again, they teach you to throw things at a gunman or something odd that you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any
Silly.
sense. That's when you
Yeah.
have to step up and say, whatever you're doing, no, I disagree with that. And I'm going to get a group of parents saying, no, why can't we just do lockdowns? What are you doing? Because everybody that comes along in this industry, and I have to tell you, Jen, this is an unregulated industry.
Mhm.
There's no certifications. There's no license that says, okay, I'm a school security expert. So a lot of these marketing companies that make money, and I'm not in it for the money. I'm independent. I don't, I wrote a book. So you want to buy the book? Fine. If not, it doesn't bother me. I'm in it for the information. But there's a lot of companies out there that market these kind of things to make money off of. And the reason is, if you go into a lockdown, that's a passive response. You're just sitting down over here, you're waiting for the police to arrive. A lot of these companies, and it's a company called Alice, and it's an acronym. A lot of these companies have acronyms. And they advocate a more reactive response, meaning the teachers are going to do something. The teachers are going to try to talk the individual down. The teachers, along with the students, are going to confront the individual. And they like that. They like the idea that they can be reactive rather than just passive, like they're doing something. But we've seen at Sandy Hook, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, in Nashville, in Iowa, you've had principals or teachers go out and confront someone with a weapon. And they've gotten injured, critically injured, or a lot of times they get killed.
Right.
It's the wrong approach. Absolutely the wrong approach. I'm not putting anyone in danger. My big thing is you keep yourself safe, then you can help others. I tell teachers that. In a lockdown, you keep yourself safe, then you can help others.
Yes.
So the idea that you're going to go out and talk down an individual who is already way beyond, they planned this for months. As you know, Jen, most of your school shooters are either current students or former students. They know the deal. They know the drill. They know what's going on. Their purpose is at an end game of either committing suicide, being shot by the police. They may give up. I mean, the guy Cruz and Parkland gave up for whatever reason, but most of them are just beyond that.
Yes.
You're not going to talk to them. You're not going to talk them down. It's something.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm sure when a teacher went to college to get her degree, she didn't think she was going to have to talk down a gunman, right?
no, they don't sign up. You didn't sign up for this. So I'm a teacher. It's the toughest job in the world because you didn't sign up for this. As you know, I'm sure you've been reading the news. A lot of teachers have quit, not only because of this issue, but because of pay issues. And really, it's a lot of times it's just a disrespect.
Yeah.
From students. There's really not much respect for teachers anymore. And it's just a societal thing, I believe. But yeah, a lot of them are just leaving. They don't want to be in that job anymore. There's just too much stuff going on for the pay that they get. They definitely don't get paid enough.
Yeah, I understand that. I could see why. So let me get on to something else. Same issue, but I know you work in schools and with schools. Do you work with parents in this regard?
No, it's kind of hard because in this type of industry, it's mostly peers that I deal with, other people that are dealing with this industry. It's kind of hard to get parents into something like that, to talk to them. Because again, they got busy lives. They don't want to deal with this. They don't want to deal with this until you hear something that happens. Then it kind of raises your hackles because most parents, like I said, I trust the school. They deal with it. I drop my kid off. I trust that they're going to do the right thing, and that's it. But then when something happens, then it's like, well, wait a minute. How are you running the drills? You're doing what? So it's just something I wanted parents to be aware of how drills are being run and just question it. Just question why they're doing certain things that you disagree with. I mean, I went to this conference in Orlando about a month ago, and I had people from all over the country. And there were people from North Carolina and Illinois and wherever. And I asked them, I said, how are you running your drills? And they'll say, oh, we're following the Alice method. And I tried to not argue with them, but ask why. And it's just something that they thought fit. It just works for them. And I try to ask them, so you're having kids throw things? You're teaching kids to throw things in a gunman? Oh no, we don't do it that way. We try to, and it's just kind of get away from that kind of aspect, but it's still the same kind of thing. And their whole thing is that just locking down and staying in the classroom. And what I get pushback on, playing the devil's advocate, is that, no, they're sitting ducks. Well, they're not sitting ducks. No shooter has breached a locked door. It hasn't happened. It takes too long.
Yeah.
They're not going to breach a locked door because they're going to move on. They're looking for easy targets.
Yes.
So why not stay in a locked classroom? I mean, if you're targeted, whole different subject. If the classroom is targeted, that means that gunman is looking to hurt someone in that classroom specifically.
Yes.
Fine. You got file cabinets, you got teachers' desks, you can block that door. They're not getting in.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different subject. I'm talking about a shooter that comes in randomly and is just going to try to get as many people killed as possible. That's not something they're going to breach a locked door. They're not going to do it. Because I'll tell you, years ago, I think it was 2005, there was a shooting in Minnesota at a Native American reservation. And this kid killed his grandfather, then killed his grandfather's girlfriend, went to the school, killed a security guard, ran down a hallway after a teacher where the teacher closed the door. He shot at that door 3 times, trying to shoot that lockout. 3 times. Still couldn't get the door open. Finally went around and broke a window and got in that way. But no, they're not going to shoot out a locked door. It just takes too long. They're not going to do it. They're looking for easy access. So this idea that they're sitting on the floor in a locked classroom, that they're sitting ducks, I don't go with that. It doesn't make any sense. They're not. They're safe.
Right. Yeah, I get that. But it seems like the schools using the Alice method is their way of, I'm just going to say what it is. They're just transferring the responsibility to another entity. Because when things happen, they can always say, well, we use the experts, and this is what the experts recommended, so we're not responsible. And I just see that as shifting responsibility off to people who don't care about your kids, basically.
Nope. And I'm glad you said that, because what happens, Jen, it runs into liability.
Yeah.
And that's why they tell teachers, teachers, we're going to give you the option. You could have the option of staying in a lockdown, or we're going to give you the option to run out of the school with your children. So now the burden is on the teacher. And that teacher is liable for those 25 to 30 children.
Yes.
And you think in their mind they're going to say, they're thinking, we're going to run out of here. And you know what? Maybe 2 or 3 of those kids, maybe 10 of those kids are scared out of their minds and they're going to freeze. Or they're going to say, hey, my dad's in the military. I'm not going anywhere. And then they're going to force these kids to come out. No, you put the liability on the teacher so that they wash their hands of it. And the same thing you talk about the training. I absolutely agree with you that they can go back to that training and say, that's not our fault. We paid for this training. They told us to do that. So as of now, and I'm talking about as of now, last year I talked to an expert in this. His name is Michael Dorn. He's with Safe Havens International. They've done a lot of research on this. At this point, it's up to $130 million that schools have been sued for that type of training, for this type of Alice training, or what's called run, hide, fight type of training.
Yeah.
And it's wrong. It's unsound. It's dangerous. And it should not be used. Lockdowns still work. They've been working for years. They will continue to work unless there's something in the future when we're all gone that AI has something out there. Right now, no. You stay in a lockdown. It continues to work.
Makes sense, but lockdown doesn't make money, does it?
No.
Yeah.
All
right. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming and talking to us, Daniel, about this. Is an interesting topic, and I think that moms especially will be interested in hearing more about this. And is there a resource you have that moms could grab a copy of and, to help them?
My book is called The First 5 Minutes. And if you Google it on Amazon, you put Amazon, it'll come up. And it's about school starting survival. And it's just a guidebook. It's only 77 pages long. Take an hour and a half to read. It's very short and concise. And it actually talks about implicit memory during these drills, so you have confidence in what to do. I'm on LinkedIn under my name. I've got a Facebook page under the First 5 Minutes. If anybody has any questions, they can easily email me. But yeah, the book will give you a lot of information because it's just a basic, easy read. It's not one of these 200 to 300 page books that are going to collect dust about all this stuff. It's just something that's very easy and simple. So yeah, that's the best way to get in contact with me, and also best information you can get out there.
Okay, thank you. And before you go, give us one parting shot, one quick tip for a solo mom.
The one quick tip is actually keep, whether it's in life or at school, whatever it is, you keep yourself safe. Then you can help others. That's my main goal. You keep any kind of emergency, you keep yourself safe first, then you're going to be able to help others. Okay?
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you, Daniel. I
Thank you.
appreciate you. Yeah.
All right, Ted.
Hello, Solo Moms. Do you feel isolated and alone in your parenting journey? Are you tired of facing the challenges of solo parenting by yourself? If so, then I have the perfect solution for you. Join Solo Moms Connect, the ultimate support group for moms raising children on their own. As a solo mom of 3 adult sons, I want to provide a safe and welcoming space where you can connect with other moms, share your experience, and find answers to your questions. So don't go it alone. Be part of a thriving community of solo moms. Join Solo Moms Connect today and get the support and guidance you need to succeed as a solo parent. Join us today and be a part of a community of strong and resilient solo moms. Solo Moms Connect, building stronger communities, one mom at a time. So don't wait, click the link below and join us today.